Hi there, it's LDake again with Kale Realty, your Illinois licensed broker. And today we're going to be talking about square footage because, hey, size doesn't always matter, right? Sometimes it's a little bigger than expected, sometimes it's smaller than expected, or sometimes it's just right. So let's get into that. Stick around. Okay, and we're back. So, I wanted to talk frank to you today, and obviously I got dressed for the occasion, right? Square footage, I want to repeat this to you several times so it really gets in to deflect against what TV's been telling you. Square footage doesn't matter. Square footage doesn't matter. Square footage doesn't matter. What matters is your stuff going to fit and it's comfortable and you're going to be happy, okay? So the first thing I want to point out, hallways. This is usually dead space. I mean, sure, you can put some bookshelves down the hall and maybe squeeze past them along the side. A lot of people just use hallways to get from one room to the next, especially if the place is designed like an anthill, right? And just putting up a bunch of pictures, family photos, personal artwork, a little of both. But really, hallways, they can be 100 square feet or more. So that's really dead space. And when you're looking at an apartment that's advertised as 1,000 square feet, well, 100, 125, 150, that is gone. Okay? So now you got to figure out what's left of the rooms besides that. Second thing I want to point out is decks. Why am I mentioning this? Decks are outdoor, right? Even if it's an enclosed porch, it's really often not usable 24/7, okay? But a lot of times, even if it's an exposed outdoor deck, sometimes in that square footage that's advertised, they included the measurements of the deck. So that's a lot of square footage, right? So pay attention to what the room dimensions are. Another one I want to get to is bedrooms. Especially been my experience locally. If you're following the Blue Line train from O'Hare towards downtown, the closer you get to downtown on those older properties, if they haven't been renovated and they still have the original footprint, the smaller those bedrooms get, as you can see. So you want to make sure that you know what the room dimensions of the other rooms are and if your bed's going to fit. Keep in mind the mattress size of a queen is 5 feet by 6 feet. Add on if you got like a sleigh bed or headboard or something like that. And if you want to be able to get in from both sides, or if it's just for you and you're just jumping in on one side and the bed's pushed to a corner. Also, with the small bedrooms, you want to know if the door swings inward or if the hinges were reversed and the door swings outward, because that's some valuable space. Another one I want to get into is living rooms. Pictured here is a living room. It is 10 by 10. The average size of a sofa is about 7 feet by 4. So you're looking at not much space left. These folks, they hung up the TV on a wall mount just outside of this view. But it can be done. So if you've got a sectional, again, even if it's advertised 1,000 square feet, your sectional is not going to fit in this room. Now, I also want to get into bathrooms. And the reason why is some people don't know, but it's been my experience seeing hundreds, probably thousands of units in my lifetime, that Chicago bathrooms are about 4 by 6. That is literally enough space for the tub, a vanity, and the toilet. and then the door is going to swing inwards against the wall opposite the toilet. You turn around, you close the door, and you do your business, whichever one you're doing, okay? Sometimes it's going to be longer because it has a linen closet. So instead of 4x6, it might even be a little bit wider. So it might be like 5x7, 8, maybe even 9. But it may be big. I've had some bathrooms you can literally do a twirl in them at the big flowy dress. So you got to figure out where the space is in each room. Again, the dimensions matter. So what did we learn today? Square footage doesn't matter. It's the room dimensions and how you're going to use them. So if you've got a really big living room set, pay attention to how big that living room is. Pay attention to how big the bedrooms are if you've got a 9-piece king-size bed set. You need to know these things, okay? So here's what I want you to do. Get yourself a tape measure. They're not that expensive. Me, I walk around with a little one that's electric, and I just pop it onto one wall and measure straight to the other, and I instantly have the measurement. But whatever you want to do, measure the rooms you currently have, compare it to where you're looking. If one of the rooms is a little bit smaller than what you're currently comfortably used to, check out the size of the other rooms, because maybe you can split up space. Maybe you can have something in a different room, because maybe it'll work. But like I said, square footage doesn't matter. You want to know what the room dimensions are.